Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to mount up some wheels and tires for the Plain Jane Jeep JKE project. And that is these Hutchinson wheels with some Milestar Patagonia MT02 tires. And this, of course, isn't the first one. This is the last one. So make it look all nice and easy. I did learn a couple things along the way. Not too much. It was actually easier than I was thinking it was going to be. I was actually kind of dreading it. So, if you don't know, Hutchinson wheels are a two-piece DOT legal, and they actually are. I don't know too much about the law with that stuff, but anyways, these are a two-piece aluminum wheel that has a beadlock insert in it that holds both the inner and the outer bead, which is better retainment than we see on most traditional outer bead locks. Yeah, they are a little bit of a chore to mount up. I don't think they're any, I don't know if they're any easier or harder than a normal bead lock. I think pretty much every bead lock is going to have some added challenges to it, and that's just the price we pay for having a bead lock. So yeah, these aren't too terrible, but here is the beadlock insert. So this is what goes in between the inner and the outer tire bead to keep everything. This is actually kind of a military-ish surplus unit, so it has a little run flat in it, and that's good, but it does mean that they're just a little bit stiffer to mount. But it has these little channels in the side, and I don't know if this is exactly what they're for, but that's what I'm using them for, is taking one of these little cam lock straps and we're going to use this to help hold the tire or the insert in a compressed oblong shape. I think you want the smallest strap you can get away with. This is like a little 1-inch strap. And all I've been doing, silly as it sounds, is and I don't know if you can hear that, but they get plenty tight. But anyway, stick it in here. And then the worst part is getting your dang fingers out of the way when you open this thing up. But that's getting the beadlock insert in. And then because this is going on a modern vehicle, We need a TPMS sensor. How you doing? And so I've been just screwing these into the rubber insert with a long wood screw, and that seems to be working so far. It seems to keep them in a good protected location underneath the ride flat, so I think it will be reasonably protected off-road. Sorry if this is a little loud. And that's just with a little 1/4-inch impact, and then I just snug it up with a regular hand drive screwdriver. That's all there is to it. So no complicated brackets or anything, nothing sticking up where it can get harmed, or at least minimizing the harm. And I am going to be mounting this with the raised letters up. And so spin it around, and a little bit of soap and water on the wheel. Nothing fancy. This will kind of dry out, and then the soap gets a little tacky, so we don't have to worry about it too much. Raise the letters to the upside. And I am. There we go. And this is the second half. Make sure that's all seated down there as much as I can. A little bit of soap and water on there. A little bit of soap and water on the and then there's 4 long studs to help get everything started. That kind of sometimes, depending on what how you're doing it, that may or may not, the tire, you got to kind of sneak it down on there. I find that stepping on the wheel and then using something in a dead blow to kind of get stuff down seems to be the best. Formula to get things started. And then once you have those started, you can use those long ones to get the wheel to start to compress down, going in a star pattern. But try to go in small even bites. I try to do most of this part by hand. It does take a little bit more time to do it by hand, but I'm not in a rush. I haven't missed anything at this point. And then one thing you can do at this point, just as a double check, and I don't know if it's possible on all wheels, but it is possible on this version, is there is enough room to reach in here and feel and make sure the O-ring is still all seated in its groove. I try to be as gentle as I can putting things down, and that keeps the O-ring from popping up. It is a little bit of a press fit in the groove with the O-ring, but they could still come out. So I like this. I built this little wheel stool to keep everything off the ground. Just, there's about not even an inch of clearance underneath the tire to the ground. But basically we just keep going down evenly as much as we can until we can get all the secondary studs to start. And so what's happening now is the tire is actually getting forced by the inner bead, the inner insert, out onto the edge of the wheel. And so that is still what would you call it, a press fit, interference fit, you know. So that's what we're doing right now. I was actually kind of dreading doing this. These are notorious for being kind of a pain, and I can see that in some cases for sure. I think doing a couple little things helps. I think these run flat inserts are a good size. They're easy to manipulate. They're not the really thick ones like from the original Hummer wheels. So being able to do the insert with just with a 1-inch cam lock strap is a pretty big win. There we go. And then I think we've got enough stud show, and we can put on the rest of these. These are a special little locking cam flange nut. They do still sell them. I was lucky enough to get a set of 5 wheels, so the 5th one had a little bit of damage on it, and I don't run a spare wheel. I just run a spare tire to save storage space. And so I was able to scavenge all the spare parts off of that fifth wheel. It would still work, but it's pretty tore up. It's got a big gouge in it, so I decided not to have it coated this beautiful bright yellow. Yeah, so not too bad. And then these just get tightened in a crisscross applesauce pattern. Pretty much just like any beadlock. You just want to go in small bites, and you want to move around to opposite sides of the wheel as much as you can, trying to keep So what we're trying to do is make the ring go down, or the outer part, or the ring on a beadlock wheel, traditional beadlock wheel, go down evenly instead of off one side or the other. So I think we're to the point we can do the torquing. All right, so yeah, these get done in a star pattern too, just basically like going back and forth across the rim. All right, that's that part. And then the last part with these wheels that I actually kind of like, because the silver lug nuts don't do it for me, but they have these little black plastic covers that go on and keep all the junk out of the fasteners. So in order to check the torque of everything, you got to take them off, but they just screw on pretty easy. You can actually use a impact set to very light torque with these. They're just almost like a Christmas tree style thread on the inside. So don't want to spin them tight, but like spin them when they're tight, but you can get away with some. That saves a little bit of time. I think makes them look a lot better with the yellow and black. So that's all there is to it, folks. That's a mounted and balanced Hutchinson bead-lock wheel with a 40-inch Patagonia MTO2 tire. Thanks for following along. If you have any questions about this process or whatever, drop a comment below. Let me show you this close-up of this little stool I came up with just to help mount everything. So the wheel actually dropped down in between the middle. That's why I couldn't use a solid one. So that, like I said, it's about tall enough just to keep the tire up about an inch. But that's it, folks. Kind of excited to get these on the Jeep now. Maybe it's a little push I needed for being able to roll those axles under there that I've been working on. And I haven't even bothered to put air in these yet because I'm working in the basement, actually, because it's much warmer than the garage, and the tires were in the little tire closet and the wheels are actually in the office. So this just worked out better. All right. Thanks for following along, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.